Over the years, I've realized that there are many ways to create a more meaningful life. And clearly, I was set on that path because I grew up with a disability, I lived with a disability, and I continue to have one. I mean, it seems like a lifetime subscription that I never even subscribed to. But here we are, and it's up to me now to make the best use of it. So, one thing I told myself deliberately is to travel as much as you can and read as much as you can, solely because if I lack one ability, I clearly could understand that I have other abilities. Like I could read, I could see, and I could now, I feel that my ability to speak up and have the ability to talk at all actually is very powerful, because when you have a disability, you automatically try to count all your abilities and how you can use a combination of all of them to put them to use. So in my case, I deliberately put myself on that path to travel and be more mobile, even if I have a disability and I use the wheelchair. And at the same time, I told myself to not limit myself just with what my eyes can see, but also look at the world from the eyes of my brain. Now, how do you do that? You actually do that through reading and not necessarily looking at films, because what happens is that when you read, you allow your brain to imagine, and now it imagines using whatever you're reading and what you already know. So it kind of automatically applies your perspective to it. So in my case, my perspective would be of my gender, my disability, and my religion, and a couple of other preferences. But these are the main lenses that it applies to my experience of reading. And then when I imagine a world that is more inclusive because I'm part of it. So clearly, if you start imagining that, you start imagining solutions to the world that you live in. You can take all that resource and bring it to the table through your startup or any company that you're working with, or even an NGO. So basically, just have your own initiative. So these are two things I told myself deliberately. And now, after years of traveling, many countries that I've traveled to, it's time to share my experience with anyone and everyone out there who's trying to learn what's it like to exist in a world when you have a disability, you're a Muslim woman, and you're kind of a badass. Oh, yeah, I can't put that on my CV, but I can say that in my videos, because I think it's a skill one has to learn to be able to believe that you belong in this world, to be able to believe that you have good things to contribute. Yes, there could be good days and bad days, but all in all, the fact that you're born is like a winning thing already, because you won. If you don't understand what I'm saying, please go back to biology class. But you know what I'm saying. In this video, I actually wanted to invite you all to listen to my experience of reading a book which I feel very proud about completing. It's 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And a very celebrated book. Everyone talks about it. Everyone really refers to it as one of the greatest books ever written. Now, I'm always daunted by these big books because they're scary. You know, how much time are you going to take? How much attention does it need? I mean, we live in the world of Instagram and those scrolling. I mean, we want those instant dopamine kicks. But to really commit to something like that, to sit down and read, is actually a way of respecting yourself, because you're not giving away for cheap addictive ways of finding joy in life, but you're like, you know what, I'm going to dive into something deeper, and I'm going to understand something deeper, because I am a deep person and I believe in having a more deeper experience of the world, because the world is just so amazing. Everything that you see from your eyes is just literally tip of the iceberg. So in my case, I had to tell myself this and commit to myself, and since then I've not had a lot of trouble finding time to read the books, because I have clarity on why I want to read the books. I want to read these books because I want to find more meaning in life. I want to understand someone else's perspective, and also pay the respect to that person who actually put in a lot of effort to complete something. And then I want to see what the hype is all about. Like, what is it that the world is talking about, and how much can I take it and reapply it into my real life? So all in all, it's like it's a way to learn something that you can apply over and over again. And I kid you not, it took me 6 months to complete this book. It's a very big book, you know, it's a large book. So very densely written. You really have to um, be patient with it. And I always encourage everyone to use a pen or a pencil, not a pen, pencil perhaps, because you can underline words that you like, you can create your own glossary, you can actually underline things that you enjoy reading, some expressions or something that resonates with you. At the same time, you can underline things that you don't understand. This book becomes your own because now it has an imprint of yourself. So now, the most interesting thing about this book, since it's not a book review, it's more about what is the experience of this book, actually starts with the conception of this book. The thing that inspired me most about 100 Years of Solitude is not even in the book. It's not even like written down in the book. Let me explain. So basically, it's the conception of the book, on how exactly this book was conceived and written. So we go back to 1965 when, as per Wikipedia and some other articles online, Gabriel Garcia, the writer, is actually on a vacation with his family. And the first line of the book, that's actually in the book, just comes to him. And that actually kind of proves my theory that inspiration or ideas, they come to you, and they literally turn up in your life, and they're so real because imagination is so real. And that idea actually came to him, just the first line, not even the plot of the book, or not even the ending, or not even something that we call the darling, that's something that really would make this book stand out because it's something different. None of that happened, just the first line. And this guy told his wife that, can you please take care of the car? In fact, I'm just going to turn back, go back to my base, and start writing this book. And then he took some time, he completed the book got published. To this date, we celebrate this book and the writer. But I want you all to please come with me back to that one particular moment that happened in 1965 with this writer. Is that when the idea arrived, it would have been so easy to say, you know what, I'm on a vacation, I'm sorry, I cannot entertain ideas right now. Or probably could have just opened up the small notebook that most writers keep, and just write it down in it and say, you know what, I'm going to come back to you later, I'm on a vacation right now, I need to prioritize what I'm doing right now, blah blah blah. And there could be 1 million reasons to just carry on with your day. It could be financial issues, it could be the fact that it's just a very silly line, come on, like what's going to come out of it, all of these things. I mean, I could give myself 100 reasons to brush it off, even if this line came to me. But that didn't happen. This guy literally paid attention, and literally grabbed the line by the tail, perhaps, went back and worked with it. And with that one line, which we can imagine like a thread, literally weaved a story that is more than 100 years, by the way. The book is expanded like more than 100 years for sure. One character is 145 years. Sorry for spoilers, but you need to know the magnitude of what happened out of this one line because of the magic of this person. And what is that magic? It's courage. It's courage to actually take something and believe that you can create magic out of it. So this guy had that line and the courage to actually weave it together into something so remarkable. Hence this book happened, and to this date we are referring to it. I have finished the book, so I understand the magnitude and the remarkable web that he has created of storylines, the universe that he has created of this one city. But it literally makes you want to be a part of it. There's so much. We're going to talk about the book in a bit, but the fact that the conception of this book happened this way also teaches me that in a day, how many times you get these little epiphanies of ideas that, how about if you do this? How about if you write a blog? How about if you have this business? How about if you have the solution to a problem, or just create a painting? In one day, I think there are so many moments when these ideas actually come up and they actually try to be a guest in my mind, in the workshop of my mind, because I'm a creative person. I like to create things, and I actually brush it off and I go like, you know what, I'm just going to take this, park it. I have a diary, I have Excel sheets, I have these documents, and I actually just park it in there and then pretend pretend like, okay, one day I'm going to sit and do that. I've been doing this for 4 years, by the way, because I've been traveling for 4 years, and there's so many ideas, so many things that I have take note down of. I have noted it down, but I have never worked on it because I think I need to understand the courage of Gabriel Garcia, that you have to sometimes just, take that one line and fly with it. So for me, this bit has been super inspiring, and I decided to just go back to my workshop, pick out all the ideas. First of all, apologize to those ideas because they came to me to seek refuge. I mean, they came to me to be part of something that they knew I could create, and that could have been great. And I think this is how we deceive ourselves, by not um, recognizing opportunity. It literally comes here, and we don't recognize that. So this was a note to myself, and I felt it could help so many people out there who are looking for meaning through traveling, through reading, through writing, and we're not stuck. We just have to understand the muscle of courage and harness it by taking these smaller risks every day, by responding to the call of ideas that comes to us, because this guy is living proof, guys. I mean, he's not living, but this book is definitely living proof that that one line could do this, and then could also, I don't even know how many other people have been affected by this book, and how much inspiration they have taken. But for me, it all goes back to the point of conception. I came across this book a long time ago in conversations, but I decided to actually read it after I had seen the season on Netflix. Yes, there is a season on Netflix called 100 Years of Solitude, and I picked it up. Okay, fine, it's based on a great book. Let's see what the hype is all about. I saw the season, I really liked it, but the season is not even the first 50 pages of this book. Like, it's really, the season is really dense but short, and it really expands on some of the storylines that are actually very short in the book. So for example, it could take like one storyline of maybe just 2 pages in this book and just expand it into an entire episode of 1 hour. That's skill, and I have to say kudos to the team to be able to pull out that kind of storyline, elongate it, and create more entertainment out of it. But there is much more to the book. Now, if we can talk about the book, after I had seen the season, it was easier for me to start reading the book, because the season already gave me images to characters. So if I'm reading about somebody, I have the image in my head because I've already seen the season. But when you read the book, you realize that the story changes very quickly, and there are so many characters introduced. There's always this thing that this book has the maximum number of the name used, Aureliano, and that's true, probably 50, 60 of them. And it also kind of resonates with my culture that sometimes if a child is born, you can give the child a name of the father or the grandfather, and sometimes the cycle just goes on. It's a sign of respect, so I totally could understand that. Now, coming to what the book is actually about, it's about this couple who sets out to start a new life somewhere else. Uh, Many people today could resonate with that. I mean, most of us are expats in a different country, and we have our own reasons to pick up our bags and just travel somewhere. Similarly, this couple also has a very strong reason to just travel, but they don't travel alone. They actually travel with a group of other people, and they land in this huge swamp area, which they later decide to just settle down in, and that area became a city called Macondo. And according to the book, it's in Spain, and the journey of the start of that city expanding into a proper city town is just remarkable. I'm also saying this because as a traveler, I have traveled to many such smaller towns across Europe, Eastern Europe, in Mexico, in Rwanda, all of these countries, and even in my own country, Pakistan. But I never had the chance to actually understand how a town or city is born. For us, they're just buildings and people, and they're just there. Wow. But that's not true. It's actually a journey its own in its own way. So for me, the main character of this book has to be Macondo itself. That is the city. It started as a small settlement, and it grew up to be a city, so much so that the government now wants to recognize it and make it a part of their own system. So for me, that part was really exciting. We study about characters all the time. We study about the human drama, the interpersonal relationships, mom and daughter, dad and sons, lovers, all of that. We study about that a lot. But this book actually gave me an insight into what's it like to see a city grow and become the city that it is. There is a lot of magic realism in the book, so at some time you'll be like, oh, this can't happen, but that's not the point. The point is to understand that this is happening in that city. You don't have to pull out every detail into the world that we live in. Speaking of which, I think anything is possible right now. We have AI, we have people landing on Mars, all of that, blah blah blah. So I think anything impossible should be out of the window already. Everything is possible now, whether it's on screen or in our real lives. So the book did not say anything that I couldn't relate to. I mean, if it's telling me somebody flew up, it did. It clearly did. I can move to the next page now. So the book itself is about this development of the city, and then what happens with that family. They meet people, there are interpersonal relationships, there are marriages happening, there is a civil war, there are people who grow up to be more than 100 years, and there are sideline love stories, the struggle, all of these things, because obviously it's a city, it has to have a lot going on. But all in all, I think it's remarkable to see the power of that one line that evolved into this book. I would highly recommend this book to anyone uh, who has the patience in practicality, because you need patience, especially in this world where we like encourage more towards just scrolling. But if you owe yourself that time and space to actually dive into something and learn about it, I think this would be fantastic. This book also gave me a good insight into what immigration could look like in 1960s, or what it could look like right now. We need visas and we need our passports and we need certain level of documentation to just pick up our stuff and go to a different country. But reading that book, I was like, you know what, you could just like pick up your stuff, go anywhere and just start a new city. Like, I never thought of that. But that is something I'm questioning myself on. How much of that is possible? Like, can you just go somewhere and start a city because you have strong reasons to not live in where you're already living? And at the same time, during the book, I was reading the book, I was also thinking about when you travel to a certain city or a town, you never really ask to meet the oldest generation of that place. And now I've made a mental note that if I'm traveling next time, I'm going to put in effort to meet the families that have lived there for more than 100 years. If that town is old, and pretty much all towns are pretty old these days, there's nothing such as a new town emerging anymore. They're just there now. All of them, they've been discovered. I really want to meet those families and I really want to talk to them about what's it like to be part of a town, to be part of the history of the town, uh, to be part of the experience that saw that town grow as your own story evolved. And this book has definitely given me some action points on that. I am so interested to read another book by Gabriel Garcia, which is, I think, Love in the Times of Cholera, but that's back in Pakistan. I'm in Sweden, so once I head back. So, yes, feeling super successful because I completed this book. Took me 6 months, started from April, but it was totally worth it. I think I have underlined a lot of things. So, whoever gets to read this book again will definitely not just be reading about Gabriel Garcia, but also my thoughts about all the places where I stopped and I decided to pay attention. So it's like a cycle of wisdom and experience and just energy of, you know, experiencing something and just passing it on. So I'm super excited, and I really hope that if you've not already seen the show on Netflix or have not interacted with this book in any way, I encourage you to do so. It's going to be worth it for sure.